Hi, Radiant Leo. Let me ask you something right now. Have you been feeling it too? That invisible pull in the air, the gentle whisper in your soul that something powerful is unfolding just beyond the veil? You didn't click on this video by accident. You're here because the universe is calling, and this message is for you. Welcome to Eternal Mindfulness, a sacred space where astrology meets divine alignment, where ancient wisdom and modern energy blend to guide you back to your inner light. In the next few minutes, we're going deep into a powerful astrological download specifically tailored for you, Leo, the leader, the fire bringer, the one born to shine. This isn't just another horoscope. This is a celestial wake-up call, and it's urgent. From April 9th to 11th, 6 sacred numbers are rising into your energetic field. These are not random digits. These numbers are energetic keys, vibrations carrying deep cosmic intelligence designed to activate wealth, clarity, creativity, and spiritual fire in your life. The universe is shifting in your favor, and you're being invited to step into that shift boldly, unapologetically, with the roar only a Leo can summon. You see, Leo, you don't need to chase success. You are success. But even the fiercest lions sometimes need a sign, a signal, a whisper from the stars, and that's what this message is. A celestial alignment, a moment in time where your intuition and action must come together as one. Because action is what opens the door to divine opportunity. And that door is open now. In today's video, we're diving deep into the energetic blueprint of these 6 powerful numbers. We'll explore their spiritual meanings, numerological vibrations, and how they connect to your current astrological path. We'll weave in the insights of tarot, the truth behind the law of attraction, the resonance of universal energy, and the clarity of self-empowerment, so you can not only understand these numbers, but live them. And if something inside of you has already started to stir, if you've been seeing repeated numbers, strange coincidences, or that deep intuitive nudge, then I invite you right now to comment one angel number that's been showing up in your life. Just type it below. That simple act opens the door to deeper synchronicity. It's a way to signal to the universe, yes, I see the signs, and I am ready. And now, let me take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to you, for your presence, your energy, your light. Every like, every comment, every share, and every subscription helps this Eternal Mindfulness family grow stronger and more connected. Your support doesn't just keep this space alive, it fuels the light we get to share with the world. And trust me, beloved Leo, you're going to want to stay with me until the very last minute of today's reading, because what the universe is revealing is truly spectacular. So tell me, what alignment, what magic, what decision brought you here today? What fire inside your soul is ready to awaken? Stay with me now, because next, we'll unlock the very first number, and with it, the first door to your abundance. There's a quiet power in beginnings, something sacred, something alive. And as we step into this moment together, with the energy of number 1 rising in your field, the atmosphere shifts. Not with thunder or lightning, but with the subtle stirrings of intention taking form. This number carries the essence of initiation, of the very first step forward after long contemplation. For you, Leo, a sign born of fire and ruled by the sun, this energy doesn't just beckon you to begin, it calls you to ignite. To lead not only with courage, but with clarity of purpose. You are not here to wait for permission. You are here to recognize that the fire has always been within you. Number 1 is more than a number. It is direction. It's the stillness before motion, the breath before the leap, and the moment you realize that nothing changes unless you choose to change it. In the rhythm of the universe, this vibration is the seed of all creation. It holds the power of will, of sovereignty, of self-belief. And what a beautiful match it is for your soul, Leo, because you were born not to follow, but to define the path. Not to wait in shadows, but to shine and inspire others to rise with you. Just as the magician in tarot reminds us, everything you need is already within reach. The tools, the insight, the energy, it's all here. But the magician doesn't wait for circumstances to be perfect. He moves, he acts, he creates. And so should you. Because waiting for perfection is a silent way of doubting your readiness. But here's the truth, readiness is not a moment on the calendar, it's a choice. A choice you make right now, in this very breath. There's a teaching often whispered between the lines of the oldest wisdom: when you take one step forward with intention, the path rearranges itself beneath your feet. What looks like coincidence is often alignment. What feels like risk is sometimes the exact leap that uncovers your strength. Your willingness to act, even without a guarantee, becomes the very foundation of your future. Action, when paired with mindful awareness, becomes a sacred offering, not only to the world but to your own becoming. This is where the law of attraction doesn't just respond, it resonates. Because what you put forth, even in its earliest form, echoes across energy fields far greater than the mind can grasp. A small, courageous act from you today could be the key that unlocks the very reality you've been praying for. And you may never fully understand how powerful that one moment of trust is, until you look back and see how far it carried you. Imagine a flame at the center of your chest. It's warm, golden, alive. That's the energy of number 1 within you now. It's not demanding. It doesn't shout. It simply waits, calm, patient, for you to recognize that the match has already been lit. The next step. You decide how brightly you want to burn. And maybe you've been feeling hesitant. Maybe a part of you still wonders if it's the right time, if you're enough, if the vision you hold is even possible. That's okay. Doubt is not your enemy. It's just the echo of past fear looking for proof of safety. But you don't need every answer before you begin. You only need one thing, the willingness to begin anyway. So as this energy surrounds you now, feel into it. Let it move you gently but surely toward your next inspired action. It doesn't need to be grand. It just needs to be real. Real choices. Real movement. Real commitment to your own light. Because you are not meant to be static, Leo. You are meant to roar. And this is your invitation to do just that, deliberately, confidently, and without apology. The universe is not testing you now. It's mirroring you. Let the fire you carry meet the world with intention, and watch how the world responds with open doors you never saw before. Sometimes the loudest breakthroughs begin in silence. After the spark of movement, after the ignition of intention, there comes a moment where everything around you seems to pause, not to stop you, but to invite you inward. That's the nature of the number 7. It doesn't arrive with a bang or demand attention. Instead, it whispers gently through your thoughts, nudging you to turn your awareness inward and ask the questions that matter most, not to the world, but to yourself. This is the sacred space between impulse and wisdom, between forward motion and conscious direction. When we move too fast without listening, we may travel far but feel more lost than ever. Number 7 brings the course correction not through control, but through clarity. It's a subtle but powerful energy that aligns with the mind's desire for truth and the heart's need for peace. And for you, Leo, whose nature is bold and expressive, this moment may feel unfamiliar, yet it's exactly what allows your fire to sustain itself. Like the chariot in the tarot, this energy is not about withdrawal, but about alignment. A charioteer can only direct the horses if both are moving in the same direction. If one pulls toward impulse and the other toward fear, the journey becomes chaotic. But when the inner and outer forces work as one, the path becomes smooth, even amidst uncertainty. This is your invitation now, not to stop the ride, but to take hold of the reins from a place of knowing, not just wanting. There's an ancient principle that reminds us, awareness is the beginning of liberation. When you know where your thoughts wander, what your heart truly seeks, and where your energy naturally flows, you begin to see through the fog. The number 7 illuminates this process like a lantern in a quiet forest. It doesn't rush you, it simply lights the path step by step. And that's all that's needed. Consider this: how much of your current ambition is rooted in your real calling, and how much is driven by noise around you? Are you chasing a dream that once belonged to you, or one you inherited from expectation, comparison, or fear of stillness? These aren't questions to answer quickly. They are invitations to reflect honestly, gently. Because real growth isn't always about doing more, it's about doing what actually aligns. One powerful way to engage with this energy is through intentional journaling. Not to judge yourself or plan the future, but to witness your own thoughts. Writing without filtering, allowing your inner voice to express freely, often reveals more than hours of thinking ever could. You may begin to see patterns, where you hold tension, what you crave, and where resistance hides in the disguise of logic. This is a form of inner listening, and it's just as essential as any bold action you take in the outer world. Number 7 also teaches restraint, not as limitation, but as discernment. It reminds us that not every opportunity must be seized, not every call must be answered, and not every path is yours to walk. To pause, to breathe, to ask why, before how, these are the quiet practices that keep you from veering off course when the energy around you is shifting fast. True discipline doesn't mean forcing yourself into stillness. It means choosing what matters most and letting go of what doesn't. In that way, this part of your journey mirrors the wisdom of nature. Just like a tree grows taller only after its roots deepen, your own expansion depends on how well you know your inner foundation. What grounds you? What restores you? When everything else feels uncertain, can you return to that still point within and feel supported? The answers aren't far. They live in your breath, your body, your unspoken knowing. You just need to pause long enough to hear them. Let this be the part of your story where you stop chasing for a moment, not to give up, but to listen more deeply than ever before. Because sometimes the shift we're waiting for outside begins with the stillness we allow inside. And the path you're meant to walk? It will become clear not when you ask, what's next, but when you ask, what's true? Not every shift is meant to be fast. Not every transformation roars like thunder. Sometimes, the most profound evolution happens slowly, steadily, like the quiet laying of bricks that one day become a home. After the spark of new beginnings and the internal alignment of intention, comes the grounding. This is where the energy of number 4 rises, not to dazzle, but to anchor. To ask not how far you can leap, but how strong the ground is beneath your feet. This is the foundation stage of your journey, Leo. And while your fiery nature thrives on action, passion, and movement, there's a deeper wisdom calling you now, the wisdom of building with care, of slowing down just enough to ask, what am I really standing on? What beliefs, systems, and habits are shaping the reality I live in today, and are they strong enough to carry me where I want to go? Number 4 is the vibration of structure, discipline, and long-term sustainability. It asks us to trade temporary satisfaction for lasting support. And it reminds us that freedom does not come from chaos, it comes from stability. There's a kind of power in routine, in self-made order, in choosing to prepare rather than react. Not because life will always follow our plans, but because the stronger our foundation, the more flexible we become when the winds of change inevitably arrive. This energy connects beautifully with the archetype of the Emperor in Tarot. The Emperor knows that leadership is not about control, it's about responsibility. He holds his realm together not through force, but through clarity. He builds systems that outlive the moment. And this is the energy being reflected back to you now, the invitation to take ownership of your life in a practical, grounded way. To lead your own inner empire with wisdom, strategy, and care. In times of transformation, the mind may crave escape. It may want to push forward endlessly, to stay in motion just to avoid the stillness that comes with facing the structures of our lives. But this is where true empowerment begins. Look honestly at your finances. How are they serving your future? Are you building something that brings peace, or just getting by? Reflect on your routines. Do they restore you, or drain you? Examine the way you manage your time, your energy, your commitments. Are they in alignment with the version of yourself you're stepping into? These questions are not meant to overwhelm you. They are meant to guide you home, to a steadiness that no external storm can take from you. Think of it like tending a garden. You don't pull the flowers up to see how they're growing. You trust the process, but you also prepare the soil, remove the weeds, and protect the roots. That is what number 4 is here to help you do. You might find clarity in creating a simple 3-step plan right now, nothing elaborate, just a clear direction. Maybe it's starting an emergency savings fund. Maybe it's investing in a course to upgrade a skill. Maybe it's reorganizing your daily schedule so that your energy is preserved, not depleted. Whatever it is, let it be rooted in your long-term well-being, not just immediate results. There's a quiet teaching found in stillness, that the strongest structures are the ones that don't resist the wind but are prepared to bend and hold. And so, too, are you invited to become that kind of strength, not rigid, but resilient. Not inflexible, but firmly planted in clarity. So while the world may feel like it's in motion, and the energy around you is shifting rapidly, come back to your center. Return to your breath. Feel your feet on the ground. This is not a pause in your progress, it's a deepening. A vital moment where you plant the roots of what's to come. Because the dreams you carry, Leo, deserve more than momentum, they deserve to last. There comes a point in every cycle where growth no longer means adding more, but learning to let go. After establishing stability and grounding your energy with intention, the next movement is not forward, it's inward and downward, toward release. The number 9 brings this invitation. Not an end in the dramatic sense, but a quiet, necessary unraveling. It marks the closing of a chapter, the final breath before something new begins to form. But beginnings don't happen without space, and space doesn't exist until we make room for it. This is the part of your journey that requires a kind of courage not often spoken about, the courage to part ways with what no longer serves you. It could be a belief you've carried for years, one that quietly tells you you're not enough, not ready, not worthy. It might be a habit that once comforted you but now only delays your progress. It could even be a relationship, a role, or a dream you've outgrown but feel too guilty to walk away from. Number 9 doesn't ask you to judge these things. It simply asks you to see them clearly, and then release them with compassion. In the tarot, this energy is echoed through cards like Death and the Hermit. Despite common misconceptions, death is not about physical endings, it's about transformation. It's the necessary clearing that allows for renewal. Much like the seasons, where leaves fall not because the tree is dying, but because it's preparing to grow again. The Hermit, on the other hand, shows us that true insight often arrives in solitude. When we step away from the noise and the pressure to perform, we can finally hear the quiet truths that guide us home. This is also reflected in an ancient teaching, that clinging is the root of suffering, and release is the beginning of freedom. When we hold on tightly to things, be it an identity, an outcome, or even a memory, we often mistake attachment for purpose. But holding on is not the same as being held. One contracts, the other supports. And you deserve to be supported, Leo, not stuck. Sometimes what keeps us from moving forward isn't fear of the unknown, it's the familiarity of the known, even when it hurts. But there is grace in saying goodbye. You don't have to discard your past to honor your future. You only need to recognize when a cycle has run its course. When the lesson has been learned. When the effort to hold on outweighs the joy of being free. This is not abandonment, it's clarity. One gentle practice during this time is to write a letter to whatever you're ready to release. Not to fight it or blame it, but to thank it. To acknowledge its role in your story. And then, with full presence, to let it go. This act becomes more than symbolic, it becomes energetic. It tells your inner self, I am no longer afraid to move on. Letting go does not always mean knowing what comes next. In fact, most powerful releases happen in the dark, where clarity hasn't yet arrived. But space is wisdom's invitation. The more you clear, the more room you give to what's waiting to enter. And while that may feel like emptiness at first, what you're really feeling is openness, a rare, precious thing in a world that constantly pushes us to accumulate. Ask yourself gently, what am I holding on to that no longer reflects who I'm becoming? What thought, pattern, or obligation feels heavier each time I revisit it? And what would it feel like, just for a moment, to put it down? This is your moment to pause before the next rise. To shed the weight, honor the lesson, and prepare the soil for what is to come. Because the future you're building, Leo, cannot grow in a space already full. It needs light. It needs breath. And most of all, it needs you, unburdened and fully present. After letting go of what no longer aligns with who you're becoming, the space you've created begins to draw something new, something potent, into your field. It's no coincidence that the energy of 6 and 8 arrives here, in this precise moment of openness. Together, these numbers form a powerful bridge between emotional depth and tangible power, between inner balance and outer achievement. They are reminders that true success isn't one-dimensional. It's a harmony of purpose, connection, and clarity. The number 6 carries the frequency of harmony, compassion, and soulful connection. It speaks not just of love in a romantic sense, but of unity in all its forms, between you and your work, you and your values, you and the people who walk beside you. In a world that so often celebrates independence as the highest virtue, number 6 gently offers a different kind of strength, the ability to lean in, to receive support, and to contribute meaningfully to something greater than yourself. This is a form of abundance too, one that nourishes the heart as much as the bank account. And then there's number 8, the bold, electric energy of manifestation, financial empowerment, and long-term success. For Leo, a fire sign ruled by the sun, this energy feels like home. It resonates with your natural desire to lead, to create impact, and to be seen for the fullness of who you are. But it also comes with responsibility. The energy of 8 doesn't just hand you success, it asks you to hold it with integrity. To use what you've built not just for yourself, but in service of others. To align your material world with your deeper values. When these two energies meet, something extraordinary happens. You begin to realize that power isn't about pushing harder or running faster, it's about aligning fully. When your outer drive, 8, is supported by your inner clarity and compassion, 6, your efforts become exponential. Things fall into place not because you forced them, but because you've become a vessel clear enough to hold what's meant for you. This idea reflects a deeper truth: nothing thrives in imbalance. Even the most beautiful flower needs both sunlight and water to bloom. The same applies to you, Leo. As driven as you may be, and you are, this phase is asking you to expand not just upward, but outward. To allow community, partnership, collaboration, and meaningful connection to fuel your journey. This isn't about doing it all alone. It's about rising together. In the tarot, this balance is echoed in the Lovers and Strength. The Lovers symbolize conscious choice, decisions that reflect not just desire, but deeper alignment. They ask, are your actions truly reflective of your values? Are you in harmony with what matters most? And Strength, your very own archetype, reminds you that power is not loud. True strength is rooted in patience, compassion, and the steady, unwavering belief in your own resilience. You may find, as you move through this phase, that you're being called back to people who remind you of your purpose. Or you may feel pulled toward new communities that reflect the version of yourself you're stepping into. Trust these nudges. Connection is part of your expansion now. Reach out. Share your ideas. Offer your insight. And don't underestimate the impact of being around those who truly see you. Let this be the time where you give yourself permission to thrive, not just through effort, but through balance. Let this be the moment where your fire isn't just a spark, but a steady flame, fueled by purpose, directed by vision, and supported by those who walk alongside you. Because while ambition might build the ladder, it is harmony that keeps you steady as you climb. And now, as we come to the end of this journey together, I want you to take one quiet, intentional breath. Let it fill your chest, not just with air, but with a renewed sense of power, purpose, and presence. Because everything you've just uncovered, every number you've explored, every insight you've allowed yourself to receive, it's all part of something bigger. A rhythm. A momentum. A shift. And it's not something you're waiting for. It's something you're already in. This major shift isn't a warning in the sense of fear. It's a calling, a wake-up moment from the universe that whispers, "You're ready now." Ready to release what has held you back. Ready to take bolder steps forward. Ready to see yourself not as someone trying to figure it out, but as someone who's already walking with wisdom, walking with fire, walking with faith. You, Leo, were never meant to blend in with the crowd. You were born with the sun in your soul. You were designed to be seen, not for vanity, but for the light you carry, so others may remember their own. You were made to lead, not by force, but by example. And now, you've arrived at a turning point that asks, will you rise into who you were always meant to be? What if this isn't just a phase, but the very moment you look back on and say, that's when everything changed? What if the clarity you found today leads to a decision that sets the next chapter in motion? What would happen if you gave yourself full permission, not just to dream bigger, but to live as though those dreams are already being built? You've been given tools in this reading, numerical frequencies that match the unique rhythm of your energy right now. You've been guided through self-reflection, encouraged to let go, reminded to ground yourself, to align your will with your heart, and to reconnect with the people and purpose that truly fuel your fire. But these insights mean nothing unless you act. So here's what I want to ask you. What's one thing, just one, that you can commit to today to honor this shift? Is it writing that letter of release? Is it building that budget? Reaching out to someone who inspires you? Saying yes to the opportunity you've been hesitating on? Your shift doesn't need to be dramatic. It just needs to be real. And it begins the moment you choose to step into it. Now, I invite you to pause for a second and feel into the number that resonated with you the most during this reading. Maybe it was the grounding of 4, the initiation of 1, or the powerful expansion of 8. Whatever it is, comment it below. Let that number anchor your energy and set your intention into motion. And type the words, "I am ready for the turning point of my life." Say it, feel it, claim it. I want to take a moment now to say thank you, from the deepest place in my heart, for spending your time and energy here with me today. For showing up for yourself. For allowing yourself to be open, curious, and courageous. Every like, every comment, every share, and every new subscriber doesn't just help grow the Eternal Mindfulness family. It helps amplify this ripple of healing and expansion into the world. And if you felt seen, supported, or inspired during this video, please give it a like, leave your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe so we can keep growing together. Your journey isn't ending here. In fact, it's just beginning. Because the energy that brought you here, it's still unfolding. And the next step is already waiting. So take it. The path is open. The time is now. And Leo, this is your moment.